In today's video, I will start the creation of a huge Hiver empire. Now, to do that, I will claim lands for my empire and destroy other factions. At least the ones in my way. So, let's get started with the video. Our very nice Hiver over here, Prince Fawn, will start off this adventure for us. At the moment, this grand empire only exists of one Hiver. But hopefully that will change soon. One very great thing you can see is I start with the absolute worst character with the worst stats possible in Kenshi. And we're even missing a limb. Like we're not even screwed over enough already. Now then, we start off in this huge desert and I would like to get out of here sometime in the future. But first I have to find a place to get some food, because as you can see, my character is very malnourished and in this game you can actually die of hunger. Yeah, okay, so inside this smuggler's den I found nothing except for some cactus rum and sake. At least that's the only two things that were worthy and with no risk for me to take them. After that visit to the thieves den, I went to visit an unknown shrine in hope of finding some more food instead of things I can sell. Now, I've come to the shrine, but just look at how beautiful this game can be. The graphics are awful, but yeah, the scenery can be beautiful. Now, inside the shrine, I've found some food actually, and a book, but no one to trade with, sadly. This shrine was made by some religious people who see everybody as equal and are not racist and sexist, which is pretty uncommon and rare in Kenshi. Holy nation. Alright, enough goofing around, let's go to another city nearby. I think Shobatai is the closest. Okay, yeah, there's not much else to do here, so just let's go there. So, I've come all the way to Shobatai, and let's sell some stuff. Maybe find some clothing, because if you didn't know, inside the Holy Nation it's illegal to be poor. So if I don't watch out, I get thrown into a cell and get taken as a slave to one of those slave camps they have. One way I will try to recruit some Hivers to my Hiver cause is through those slave camps, because you have a small chance that they will join you instead of just run away if you free them from those slave camps. So I hope I can find some people maybe inside bars is one of the first things. And other than that, slave camps, at least in the United Cities, that's the only two things I can really do. But I do have another game plan, which I will reveal later on in this video. Alright, I found some sort of hat store where I can sell my stuff and buy a straw hat. The reasoning for this is so I look less poor and so I do not get thrown in jail and become a slave in some sort of slave camp, which is something that I would rather avoid. Alright, the hat has just been purchased and Prince Fawn looks a lot better right now already. Still very malnourished, but not as bad as before. Still, I do need to find some sort of robotic arm for him, because I can't carry stuff, I can do a lot of shit. My combat is fucked up. Alright, I've searched a bit around this town and they do not have a mechanic somewhere near. Or someone else that has robotics, but let's go to another town, make some money and purchase a bionic arm. Something I do like about some mods that I've added is it makes the environment a lot better. As you can see, there even have a slave inside of this shop, which I think is pretty cool, even though it's yeah, kind of brutal. But normally in Kenshi they don't really show that kind of stuff, and it makes it feel a little bit more lively. Of course, you do have the slave camps in Rebirth, but I also think it's very cool you can also see that in the shops, because in the United Cities it would be likely that if slaves are a thing and there are a lot of slaves, then it'd be logical that they also work in shops and things like that. Another thing you can still see is my character is still not skilled enough to steal things. Only a 32% chance, no matter where I stand in this shop, which is extremely low. Yeah, I've got to get my stealing up a little bit, or my thievery. And yeah, Then I can start to steal also stuff a lot easier instead of just things off shelves, and also rob some chests maybe. By the way, also let me know if you guys enjoy if I just talk about those random stuff instead of just more gameplay focused. Alright, let's go to another city, and hopefully there's a lot more stuff to do than in just this city. So I was checking out this United Heroes League, which they spotted me. Those guys are kind of like slave traders, and I'm right next to a slave camp, so it would suck if I got knocked unconscious right here, because they beat me to a pulp and pick me up and then sell me off. I thought I could run away, but somehow they spotted me, even though they forgot I was there. Well, I get inside, and luckily they cannot really follow, because inside if I ever go into a bar, there are separate guards that are not really from the slaver camp, and they do not want any fights breaking out inside of their territory. And they walk right past here, luckily. Another fun thing I just saw is, whilst on my way to a city called Stodes, I can see some caravan traders from the free traders being kind of escorted by some United Cities, by a whole regiment actually. I don't know if this is just an accident or coincidence, because they walk the same path to the same city, but I do think it's pretty cool to see, because those two are friendly with each other, and I think it's pretty fun to see that they also walk together in that case, kind of protecting each other. Another regiment of United Cities over here. In the desert, their presence is very strong because it's their territory, and I also enjoy seeing all those armies walking around and marching around. Sometimes you also have armies clashing together, which I think makes the game so much more lively, and it's something that I think is pretty unique to Kenshi, because I don't know a lot of other games that also do the things the way Kenshi does it. Well, let's go back to the video and to the gameplay. And I'm on my way to Stode right now. Well, I've just arrived at Stode, and I went to check this slave shop right away, because in this city they have a lot of more slaves than that slave camp we just saw. They actually had some Hivers, which is very good news, and I've just got to get some money right now and buy one of them in hopes of them joining me and expanding my squad. Over here there is some fighting, and I'm going to check that out right now. Okay, it's a lot of rebels fighting the United Cities. I think I'm gonna get some food from the dogs right here, and some maybe more clothing. Yeah, more clothing, and ooh, that katana's gonna sell for a lot. I think I'm not gonna hold on to a weapon right now, because I think I might want to go for some martial arts skills. And I'm just checking out these bodies right now for some money. Okay, so I've just sold all of the equipment I got from them, and we're at 6k right now, which is awesome. I can maybe buy one slave already with this, and hopefully he will join us, because they also have a chance to not join us, which would not be very nice. Alright, I'm over here at the slave shop, and let's buy that one slave that wasn't too expensive. Okay. Yeah, it's even a soldier too. There was another, but he's 12.5k. In no way I'm gonna be able to afford that. Alright, I've just bought him, but I do not see any dialogue options or him saying anything that he's gonna follow me. He's gonna run straight away. So I think we've lost this guy, which is pretty sad. I tried to go after him, but it just didn't do anything. Because of me chasing this guy, I've got chased by some slavers, which is kind of a blessing in disguise, if I'm gonna be honest, because those slavers sent some slave soldier-ish guys after me, and these guys don't have swords, which is pretty awesome, and I can just train some melee over here. I tried to shoot them because I've picked up a crossbow from one of those bandits from before, or I mean rebel farmers. But I only have one arm, so of course I cannot, not shoot him. Yeah, this was actually a blessing in disguise, because I can train my toughness up a little bit, train my martial arts, and some other defensive and offensive stats. They've also just stood still right here, and they give me a respectful 1v1, which is even better for my attacking stats. And yeah, I mean just stats in general, to be honest. Alright, let's jump to when I'm done with these guys. So, I've been beaten to a pulp so bad that my character can't even stand right now. Okay, yeah, that's nice. This sucks. I hope I can get... Why is the United States attacking me? Maybe because they see these slaves as allies? Even though they're slaves? Okay. Oh no, this is really, really bad. I'm unconscious at the moment and my head wound is getting worse and worse. If I don't wake up before my head wound reaches minus 31 or more, I think this run is over. Because in that case, I'll just die slowly and bleed to death. Okay, luckily I got up just fast enough and I can heal my wounds right away. Whew, that was really close. I was at minus 29. Alright, so this really, really sucks. I had some problems with a save file and I had to start over all again. At the same city as I was before, I tried to get the same armor and kind of the same money, but you know, it just sucks because that good training we had with those slaves is gone. Alright, I think I've seen enough of Stoat. Let's go to Henge. I think it's actually really big in there. And that means a lot of action and possibly a lot of money. And maybe we can find our first companion in that place. And whilst we're running over there, we're also training our athletics, which makes us run a lot faster. So these two groups were just about to clash on my way to Henge. And I think I can take some money from these guys, because if you don't know, those skimmers actually have a lot of teeth, and those teeth you can sell for a lot of money. But I forgot that these rebel farmers also attack me, which quite sucks. And I think I'm gonna make this sped up, because it was a bit of a ring around a rosy kind of situation. Okay, so I've just about managed to run away with the fangs of the skimmers, which you can sell for a profit. This bone dog was following me, but luckily he was slower than me. But I was over encumbered because of those fangs, and I had like 20 in my inventory, and my character is not really strong. So I've just about arrived at half, but just take a look at how big this city is, man. I don't think there's another city that's as big as this is. It is that big because of mods I've installed, but it's just crazy. You have here the heft outskirts for kind of the poor people and stuff like that. And yeah, it's just very, very, very big. Of course, those annoying heroes are again talking to me, being retarded a bit. But yeah, they don't attack me whilst I'm inside of a city, so that's no problem. But take a look at how racist they are, bro. It's crazy, just chasing me, calling me slurs and shit. Okay, so I've been running around the city for a while and I've actually found a robotics workshop, which is just great. I couldn't really afford to have an expensive one. At least for now I'll just take the cheap one, and until I make some money I'll just keep it. Because I can buy a mediocre one or just a really bad one, and in that case I would prefer the really bad one and later on buy a way better one that even gives buffs instead of debuffs and has a lot of more health. One thing that's also pretty funny is in Kenshi, a real strat is also to just take all of the limbs of your characters and make them way stronger with only robotics limbs. As you can see, these stats are absolutely horrible. 60 HP and minus 80 in lockpicking and thievery and a lot of other stuff. It's just very, very bad, and I would like to get a new one soon in the future. So for some reason outside of the city, like outside, just 10 meters, there was a rebel camp. And they were just getting demolished by some Holy Nation dudes. And I'm here to profit off of the bodies that are still on the ground. So my first approach was to peacefully loot through the chaos over here, but I think I've pissed off a United City samurai guard, which is not good. Before I was opening the gate because I wanted to go outside, but that's kind of a crime, and I think I didn't wait long enough for that to happen. So yeah, I'm not really too scared of getting beat up by one guy since my HP is pretty high at the moment. So I'll just stand up afterwards and be stronger. But that's not what I did in this case. I ran away, so the samurai guard would forget about me, and I went back so I could just do some one-on-ones with these farmers. And I mean, it's going really good since I can use the crossbow now and just guide, run away, shoot, run away, shoot, run away. Sort of hit and run tactic. And I'm training my crossbow at this way. But I was kind of jumped by a lot more. I did not notice all of them being behind there. So yeah, I did run away and I saw this samurai guard getting beaten up. So I went back to do this stuff. They actually have very good armor, if you can believe me. But yeah, of course, they look badass in that armor, so it must be good. So he's almost KO if one of his things get to -1 or 0. As you can see, is well, with his limbs as exception. But he does have a lot of good stuff because high grade is actually pretty good. And I think I'm just gonna take that helmet and pants because the chestplate just gives way too many debuffs. Okay, so I'm actually kitted out right now, but since my weak body just can't handle the weight of all these items and I'm very slow, I had to drop a lot of it and come back for it later. Even though I dropped almost all of it, I was still beaten up by them. But you know, I could just stand up again since their weapons don't deal a lot of damage. And hopefully run away after that. Okay, so my game plan here is to wait for them to run away and just heal myself up in case I get beat down again. I don't die, you know, because I've just healed all the wounds I had. Sadly, I did get beat down again. But you know, it's Kenshi and it's part of the process and it gets my toughness up a bit, which I'm not mad about. Sadly, I am in a recovery coma, so it's gonna take a while before I stand up again. Because now I have to wait until my stomach is at 0 or more instead of just -31 I had before. As you can see, they're still just fighting everywhere. If I can wake up, I can just take a lot of their equipment and sell it for a profit. And as you can see over here, I thought this was a really cool picture to see. This guy's just jumping and drop kicking this guy. It's very cool. So yeah, I just took a moment to appreciate the picture you have right here, fighting everywhere. And you have this guy jumping in the air, about to strike this rebel down. Okay, finally I'm back up again. And let's just take anything that's worth a little bit and sell it for a profit. Because right now I just need some more money so I can find some people to recruit in bars. And I'll just get back to you when I've looted everything. So I've just sold everything including the samurai equipment. That brings us up to 16k. So I've also just bought some new pants, a new no-bat cape, which is actually really nice in my opinion. I also was searching for something for my armor slot and I've chosen this long coat, which I actually think it's really nice and gives a lot of great buffs. Buffs such as acid protection 70%, which is really nice. It covers also a lot of the body and gives 5 melee defense bonus and 10% dodge skill effect multiplier. And that just for like 3k, which is not a lot. I was running around checking some bars when I ran into this guy, who was actually recruitable, which I did since I have some spare money left over, and only cost me 2k. So, welcome Ronin Bobby Schmurda to the team. After all this time, I finally found my first companion. And you wanna know the funny part? Not even 2 minutes later, I found this guy sitting in another bar. Needless to say, you can now also welcome Snoop into the party. So the first plan was to get some recruits and some people into the party. And for now we have enough because I think 3 is enough to just get things started. But there's also a small problem. Our guys at the moment are so weak they couldn't even fight off one United Cities guard. So the next step of my plan is to make them a lot stronger. And how do you do that in Kenshi? First of all, you let them pick up a lot of heavy stuff. And then let them carry something like a body of some sort. I mean, don't ask me, man. I also don't know why it works that way, but you know, it's the best way and that's why I'm doing it. So I'm just over here picking up some heavy stuff or cheap stuff. As you can see, some meat is very cheap to get and it's also 1 kilogram per piece. Luckily, I still have one body around my arm. To be honest, my intentions were firstly to sell it into slavery for like 1000 cats or something. So outside of the gates there were some people fighting and I thought I would just join the winning side to get some strength training for my Ronin Bobby Schmurda over here. Well, I say strength training, but just his dodge, his dexterity, melee and everything. Okay, so this absolutely sucks. I was just going to the map and clicking to one point of heft to the other and somehow I've accidentally clicked Prince Fawn to walk into a random stranger's home and kind of intrude because they have it on private so no one can get in there, and if you go in there and stay there long enough they just attack you. Yeah, I was doing stuff like that, but you know, I don't even know what the chances of this are, man. It's just very unlucky. Prince Von was able to get back up and heal himself relatively easily and fast. And the guy next to him was luckily dead that he was carrying, so he couldn't really run away. So to be honest, it wasn't really that much of a setback. And we started with 4 strength and are already up to 6, so it seems to work very well. Alright, besides me getting beat up because I've intruded into someone's home on accident, I'm also sending Snoop to another city in hopes to finding some scraps from battles of random factions. Since, to be honest, it's been an excellent way of making money. Now then, I think this is a pretty good point to end the first part. I hope you enjoyed it and let me know what you think of it. And see you in the next part.